Good evening. It's August the 26th. It's about 8:45 p.m. Nice warm day today. Going to be a nice one tomorrow, close to 80 degrees. Very nice. It's been a nice summer. Not very many fires around here. Pretty good. Grandson got married the other day. I guess had a pretty nice wedding. Congratulations to him. What I wanted to mention today is these the way things are going with mass shootings and all kinds of people getting killed, mostly in the United States. There's been some in Canada too, but not as much at all as in the United States. But the point what I want to talk about is I was 16 years old in 1950. I had my own car, and I remember very clearly how things were. And things were, pretty good. There was no problems like we have today. None at all. None with gays, and nothing with abortion like it is, and nothing with LGBTQPZ, whatever. And all that stuff didn't exist. Also, from statistics I've heard, there was one mass shooting in North America in the 1950s. We lived on a farm. Canada was an agricultural country. The United States was an agricultural country at that time. We had farms all around us, families living on farms all around us. Every farm had a gun, had a rifle, a shotgun, and most likely a 22 caliber small pistol or rifle. Some had a lot more. But there was no mass shootings. There was no problem. You could see a lot of people would have a rifle in the back window of their pickup, and there was no licenses or anything. So there you are. There was a lot of guns in the country, all over. There was low amount of violence by guns. In the 1960s, the hippie movement came in, and the morality of the country started to change. And I understand in the 60s there was about 6 mass shootings. By the time the 70s rolled around, there was about 14. But that was the same time that I believe God was taken out of the schools. The 10 Commandments were taken out of the courthouses, and religion and Christianity was basically frowned on. In the 50s, I remember people used to dress up on Sunday and go to church. They did. All over the place. Not everybody, but the majority did. Became less in the 60s, and way less in the 70s. And since then, it's gone downhill a lot more. Till now, you have mass shootings galore, it seems like, every month there's something happening. The amount of guns in the country is most likely per capita is maybe even less than it was in the 50s, because the people moved from the agricultural farmlands, they moved into town. They got rid of their guns, sold them, didn't need them. So when they say these mass shootings and stuff is caused by guns or the availability of guns, they're wrong. It's caused by rebellion against decent laws, lawlessness. And it's just proven fact. You can see that. You can't argue with it. That's exactly what happened. They don't want to retain God in their minds. They've gotten so they want to rebel against God in all kinds of ways. Killing their babies, killing children for their own convenience, becoming gay, and that is a sickness, because that's against nature. But the LBGT people, they're claiming they can be born a male and then decide to be a female and back and forth and whatever. That's just insane. But the fact that when the idea of God's laws are ignored and there's no restraint, all the restraint is taken away, and they call it freedom. That means that they rebel against the laws that actually run the universe. These laws, you can't break these laws. They break me, you, whoever. They break people. They're unbreakable laws. They're cosmic laws. Can't be changed or broken. But people will still do it. And, I was thinking the other day about Abraham. There's a story about Sodom and Gomorrah, and the two angels that came down, or angels, I guess, came down to the earth, and they said to each other, "We're here to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, and should we keep this secret from Abraham, who's a friend of God?" And they said, "No, we should tell him, because he lived outside of Sodom. His son-in-law or his brother-in-law or something, Lot, lived in Sodom. He chose to live there." So they told Abraham about it, and Abraham got upset about the idea that they were going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, that he could even look across the country and see the town or the city. And he said to them, "Even if there was 50 good men in that town, would you still destroy it?" And they said, "No, for 50 good men, we won't destroy it." And he said, "Well, what if there was only 30 good men? Would you still destroy it?" He said, "No, we wouldn't destroy it for 30 good men." He said, "Even if there was 10 good men, would you still destroy the city?" He said, "No, if there was 10 good men, we won't destroy it." So they left him and headed into Sodom in the evening. And when they got to Sodom, Lot happened to be at the gate of the city and saw him and called him and said to come to his house. And they said, "No, we'll just stay out here and see." And, "No, no, 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 you got to come to my house. You got to come to my house. You got to have supper with us and eat, whatever, stay in my house. So, okay, they did. They went to his house. And as they went in the city to his house, I guess people started to see who they were. And the next thing you know, they're pounding on his door and they want to get a hold of these two new guys. And they wanted to most likely have sexual relations with them or something because they were screaming and pounding on the doors. And Lot went to the door and told him, please go away, don't do this. You shouldn't be doing this. And he was standing there. And he offered them his daughters, but they didn't care about that. And they were going to grab him. And the angels pulled Lot back in and shut the door and blinded all the horde of people outside. Blinded them so they couldn't even find the door of the house or anything until they finally gave up and went away. So they told Lot in the morning, you leave immediately, first thing in the morning, and you just leave. Take your wife and your daughters and leave, because we're going to destroy this city. So, okay, he left with his wife and children, got part way out, and they told him, don't look back. Just do not look back. His wife couldn't resist, and she looked back, and she was destroyed. The Bible says she turned into a pillar of salt. Now, God rained fire and brimstone on Sodom and Gomorrah, city of Sodom and Gomorrah. Brimstone is burning sulfur, big chunks of burning sulfur coming down out of the sky, right down on these cities, hitting buildings, sticking to the buildings, and fire all over the buildings, hitting the ground and just spreading out and making it a complete inferno. Now, you have to think, why did God do this? Did he do it because they were lying? Why? Because they were murdering? No. Because they were cheating? No. Because they said they didn't believe in him? No. War? No. None of these things. For one reason only, is that they desecrated themselves by the act of homosexuality with man on man. And God absolutely disdains that, because men are made in the image of God, and God, I believe, feels that that is a desecration of his image, and they've gone so bad that can't tolerate it. Now, that's the only city in the world that ever happened to. The only one. For that reason. And that reason alone. Now, you can say all the things you want about it's not fair, they should be able to have the same rights as everybody else, and they should do this. Oh, they're nice people, and where free people have to be free to be themselves or whatever. All that. That's the devil's argument. There's no two ways about that. But that's not what God does. I didn't make it up. No one else made it up. God did. God says, no, I won't. That's too much. And you're going to be paid. You'll be turned over to a reprobate mind. What that means is that you have no conscience whatsoever, no shame, none whatsoever. And that being the case means you will never ask for forgiveness. God is bound to forgive those who ask for forgiveness. But he lets them go into what is called a reprobate mind, and they condemn themselves. He allows that. That's a sad thing. There's maybe nothing more sad than that. To think that people will allow themselves to be condemned to destruction and to death and destruction forever, where they didn't have to be, where they could have been living eternally with the Creator of the universe in a whole new system, body, everything, forever. So that's the sad part about that. And the other sad part about it is if you don't agree with God on this, you are wrong. You are a bad person. And you'll get, ostracized, you'll get shunned, whatever. I mean, I know that. But how can you go against something like that? That's way over and above any arguments about social justice and stuff like that. It was never before this generation, these last maybe 2 generations, that it's been like this. It never was before. I grew up, and I know it. I grew up, there was no hint of that at all. Not where I lived. And I lived a long time and went around lots of places. If there was, it was so hidden and so, not like now, it's in your face all the time. Media, movies, everything. Bakers get fined in court for not making a cake for a gay couple even if they don't agree with it. That's how bad that is. And, to be honest, I think it'll just keep getting worse. It's not going to get better. No matter what I say about it, what I say it means, I'm just repeating something. I didn't come up with it. It's not my idea. It's just a fact that God hates it. And if you want to be on the wrong side of God, go ahead. But I suggest that's not the way to do things. It's too bad that people don't have the luxury of being able to compare what happened like 50, 60 years ago to now. They can compare and say, well, that's how it was then. Look at how it's now. Why? Well, it's because rebellion against God, and, well, he calls it sin. Well, he doesn't call it sin. The Englishmen call it sin. Sin is the English term for missing the mark. So, but sin is a word that I guess describes good enough. And everybody knows that we're sinful people. We can't make it through a day without some sinful thoughts of some kind or whatever. It just seems like. So we need a lot of help, that's for sure. And trying to be honest is one way, is to say that you can't say something is great if it's all good, pure 95%, but 5% is poison. You can't say it's good. It's a 5.5% that'll kill you. And it's you gotta know that it's devious, devilish, and out of your control when 3-4% of the population can make the other 96% do their will by media. I'm amazed that the Bible wrote so long ago is so precise about things. It calls Satan the god of this age. He's the god of this world. He also is the prince of the air. In other words, he can control thoughts and media and influence. He can influence. He can't force anybody, but he can influence. And for some reason, I don't know why, it is that it appears to me that women are more influenced than men. If that is because he's allowed to do that, because it is, the comparisons are so alike. I mean, the big fault or the big cause of problems with that women have is with vanity and jealousy. Great problems, way more than men have. That's the problem that Satan has: vanity and jealousy, exactly the same things. And I know women will say this, that's not true, that's not true. Go to any drugstore and tell me that. The whole drugstore is geared to the vanity of women. But, that being the case, and growing up when I did in the 50s, I kind of knew at that time that we were very free. I didn't get car insurance for, I don't know, maybe a year later I went and bought car insurance for $12. And I had guns, there was nothing I couldn't do. I could go, just do anything. There's nobody telling me what to do. My father and mother never told me once what to do, even growing up. Never once. Not once. I don't know, I used to think about that. I thought, why are they so seem to be enamored with me being able to do what I want? I could bring people over in the middle of the night and they'd just get up and smile and say, oh, that's good, Arlo wants them over here. Yes. I'm very glad that I grew up when I did and had the family I did. And big family, visiting every weekend. There'd be something going on somewhere. It was good. And it was before all the distractions came in. There was no, I hardly ever went to a movie. Once in a blue moon someplace. And I don't know, we just hung out together. That's what we did. So anyway, it looks like that's the way things are going to go, I guess. So what a person has to do, at least I think what I have to do, is realize that is the way the world is. And I knew, as a young person, I could tell that I was in this world, and I used to say to myself, and I used to say to others, we're here like on a 2-week holiday to look around and make some decisions. And that is a fact. We're just here to make a decision. And I think that's all it is. God has a plan. He had a plan made out eons ago. And I believe we're just filling out this plan. God is looking at it from the beginning to the end. Jesus Christ was slain before the foundation of this world. It was decided before the foundation of this world that he would be sacrificed for the sins of the world to pay for because God was going to have to give people the free will and whatever to choose, right or wrong. That's the way it was going to go. So it appears that God has laid it all out, knows exactly when it ends, sees it from the beginning. He knows, he can see when it's going to happen. He made it this way. And we're just going along for the ride. That's for sure. That's all we can do. We don't know this. God lives outside of the universe, outside of time. There's no time with God. And when you realize that the Word who became flesh, Jesus Christ, that it was, he decided, the Father decided that he would be sacrificed for the creation they were going to create. Because God's law is perfect law. He cannot bend it, break it, do anything. He has to follow his own law, or it wouldn't be law. Not like we do in this country or in the world. So it's sad when people get waylaid by wrong ideas and pressured into things. I can't say that they really want to be that or be that way, but there's a bad pressure on it. You know, my daughter has had bad pressure to do things like that and has succumbed to that. Oh, but that is basically what happened in our family. It was, I wanted them to be more familiar with God and whatever. My wife wasn't. So we were kind of unevenly yoked that way. And it's showing up in the way my family thinks now, what they believe. They believe you can do whatever you like, and God will just say, oh, that's fine, doesn't matter. But if they realized what God has said, what his book, what his Bible says, that's his blueprint for the world, for the people, then they'd realize you can't do that. So I guess it's my job to pray for them. Because prayer, I know that prayer works. Prayer is no doubt the most powerful force there is in the universe. Your ability to contact directly now the creator of the universe. Directly. No charge, no nothing. Can be done automatically. Providing you qualified with the fact that you're asking in the name of Jesus Christ, his son. Then he listens, then he respects it. Huh. And, you know, if you ask anything that is in his what it's called his will, it's going to be done. I feel comfortable with that. That you can openly ask God anything. There's nothing he doesn't know. He knows it before we ask anyway. Well, that's long enough. It's 10 after 9. Have a good day.